Hello guys, the event I performed on my browser that is related to two-way data binding. That is also today's tutorial topic, and I will show you how to create a two-way data binding and how to achieve it in your Angular. So let's start it. For that, I will open my presentation layer, and here today's tutorial is two-way data binding. In two-way data binding, I will clear some key points like definition of a two-way data binding and control flow for two-way data binding, two ways to achieve two-way data binding and execution of a two-way data binding, and at last interview questions based on a two-way data binding. So first we will see definition of a two-way data binding. In a two-way data binding, automatic synchronization of a data happens between the model and the view. Here changes is reflected in both components. Whenever you make changes in the model, it will be reflected in the view, and when you make changes in view, it will be reflected in model. Or in simple words, we can say two-way data binding is a process of sending data from or transferring data from TS file to template file and vice versa. It is also called as a banana in a box. And next point is our control flow of a two-way data binding. Suppose this one is our HTML file and the other one is a TS file. When a user click on a HTML file, a data will be generated from HTML file, send it to a TS file, and after that we will use string interpolation in our HTML code to get that generated value from the TS file. And these are the steps to achieve two-way data binding. First, we have to import form modules in module.ts file, because to achieve data binding, two-way data binding, we have to use NGModel Directive as shown on my screen. And for that, first I have to import form module, and after that I can use NGModel in my HTML file. And this is the syntax of our two-way data binding with the help of NGModel Directive. So let's execute this part first, and the first step is I have to import ng forms, sorry, a form module in my module.ts file. Like here, I will type forms, and it will auto suggest me forms module. When I click on and on forms module, it will automatically import on the top of my screen. You can see, and after that I can use this template uh, directive in my HTML file. For that, I will first in my TS file create a variable called vals, and simply here I will give it empty string and save it. Now I'll create a input text, and inside it I will use NGModel Directive, and I will wrap this NGModel Directive with two-way data binding syntax. That is, wait, like NGModel model, and I will after that I will give a variable name here, like variable name is vals. Now the first part is done. Now I will call this variable with the help of string interpolation and save it. Let's check on the browser, refresh it. Now I will try to execute it. Like you can see, two-way data binding is achieved with the help of ng model directive. This is the first way of achieving two-way data binding. The another way is to achieve a two-way data binding is without using ng model directive. For that, we will use this syntax like input, and here we will use property binding and event binding together in input but separately. Like we can use property binding for the username and input event for username and pass it the value. Let's try to execute this code. Just wait. Actually, now I will create one more input is equal to text, and I will use here value and wrap this event with style binding syntax. Okay, and here I will pass a value as a vals, and after that I will use property binding or event binding syntax, sorry, event binding syntax like input mm, sorry, and after that I will use the syntax as here username equal to box value or vals equal to box value, and I will give this input as a ID of a box. Okay, now I will save this code and try to execute it. Let's see, in the second column I did not use NGModel Directive. Let's see, is it working or not? Yeah, you can see it's working properly. So right now I will complete this button and again try to execute it. Yeah, it's working properly. These are the two ways of to achieve a two-way data binding in Angular. And at last, these are the interview question based on event binding and two-way data binding. Sorry, like they can ask you what is a two-way data binding and steps to achieve two-way data binding and different ways to achieve a data binding. Guys, if you like my this video, then please like, share, and subscribe the channel. I hope all you are doing well. Thanks for watching my video.